Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is the Black Manga Critic. We are here just doing, I'm just trying some new streams. Gonna see if, I'll do them in the future. Partly, obviously, like I think anytime I stream, it's definitely like for me, first and foremost, like I think if you have a channel, like, or anything like that, like you first and foremost should be doing that, like for you. Otherwise, it ain't really working out. At least that's how I kind of feel about it. Like if you start doing making content, it's like solely for like other people in a certain way, then it's time's off. You gotta figure that out. But that's neither here nor there. This is what the first of many. Okay, what am I reading streams? So when I just say like what am I reading, it's like it's not just like manga, but like just kind of books, text stuff like that. Maybe it'll be a novel, maybe it'll be a novella. um Poetry I've been reading. I gotta actually compile a list for somebody of poetry. I still have to like get to that because compiling lists of poetry is hard. Like that's just hard. But I would say like poems too. I'm always kind of like reading poems. I'm always checking them out. Like always have like poets.org, poetryfoundation.org, like set up on my phone. So like if I just want to just flip through, read a poem, check out something, then I do that. So I'm always reading different kinds of stuff. But again, like it'll basically just be like I'll do this every now and then. Most likely, it'll probably be like once like a month or something like that, because I feel like that just makes sense. To be like, hey, like okay, I've been reading these things for like maybe like the past month, and then next month I'll be reading new like manga or volumes or book or whatever. So I think that's something that I'm gonna try to do. I'm gonna try to do more of that. Maybe like if I'm reading something, then y'all will want to read it too. Da, 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 da. Also, feel free during these streams to suggest like books, novels, poems if you have them, short stories, whatever it is that you're reading, whatever it is that you're checking out. Feel free to suggest them. Like I'm always up to like kind of read like most things. There are certain things that I'm probably just not going to read because for whatever reason it just goes to a place that I'm not like set up for, ready for, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like it's just not for me. Like I'm not like say if there's a story and it's just like consistent like instances of like very clear like and just vivid depictions of like let's say sexual abuse or something like that, or child abuse or whatever. Like I can't. I just sorry. It's not from no, I can't. So don't suggest anything like that. Okay. But I think a lot of times like I'll read something, I'll probably have like discussions with it about that stuff, like with my fiance and how I'm feeling about it or whatever. When it comes to really when it comes to anything, like if it's something and I'm like, hey, like my fiance might want to, talk about this stuff, then we do that. But excuse me. But I also want y'all to know what I'm reading, what sort of informs like how I think about certain things. When it comes to like judging, judging really is what like judging manga, quality of certain things of whatever. When it comes to the manga, what should I start with? Obviously, I think we got to start with a manga. So let's start there. So the first one, obviously, I've been reading Battle Angel Aleta, which is dope. All right, which is dope. I would say that, and this is just like suggestions, like also, right? Like if I'm saying like this is what I'm reading, like check it out. Go check it out. Go read it. Go do that. And I haven't even gone through this deluxe edition because like the deluxe editions generally contain, I think, like 2 volumes worth of like content or whatever. So, or something close to that effect, right? So right now I'm reading Battle Angel Aleta. It is dope. It's so good. I've gotten through 6 chapters, I believe, and I'm probably gonna do a stream for another chapter, not tomorrow, but Sunday. It's gonna be Sunday. It won't be tomorrow because like I have something to do with my brother tomorrow. That's gonna be really fun. It's gonna be dope. But I just like and I have to teach, so like I'm just not gonna have the time to do that. All right, tomorrow, but it will be Sunday. The part 3 of the Battle Angel Aleta readathon will be on Sunday. I might even be able to get in a Yona stream that Sunday as well. Like I'm probably gonna do some reading. I probably like reread the chapters of Fiona that I haven't read, that I've read before, just to like refresh my memory on like what's going on. Because I generally know it's still there, but it's like, it's a little rough. So you always got to do that. But I'm probably gonna do a Yona stream on Sunday as well, because I really want to get back to that. Yona is like from where I left off was very good. It was getting into some interesting ideas about like child trafficking, about like human trafficking and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, let's check that out. So I want to get into that. But again, Battle Angel Alita is dope. It's a great manga. It's very like cyberpunk. I would say like cyberpunk, like I don't even want to say post-apocalyptic, because I don't think that's a good way to describe it. I don't think that's what it is. I think those two are very like distinct, sort of genres and settings and whatever. So I wouldn't say it's that. But I think it's very. I would say I don't know, cyberpunk, right? It's just like things are not the best. You know what I mean when it comes to like sort of the setting. People are just kind of trying to survive, and yeah. And Alita's just a dope character. She's great. There are other dope characters. I'm not gonna say, talk about them, because like if you haven't read it yet, go read it. But read Battle Angel Alita. There's a lot of dope stuff that generally you get from like cyberpunk, sort of genres, and it's great. It's really dope. Check it out. I definitely suggest the deluxe edition. One, because it's just easier to get your hands on. The deluxe edition is just easier to get your hands on. Okay. Also, this is by Yukito Kishido. All right. Pretty renowned mangaka. Get your hands on that. All right. It's a great volume to have. And I would say for like it for what it costs, I'd say it's good. I got it off Amazon for like $19, $18, something like that, which is really good, because I think normally it's like 30 or something like that. Let me see. Yeah, normally it's like 30, but I got it for like 18 bucks, which is really good. It's really good. I'm always trying to save that money. Okay, so grab that dope manga, dope manga. And I think I'm just gonna move on to like a book. So one thing that I recently finished, I finished this a while ago, but like I always kind of come back to it because I think it's just so pertinent. Like it's always pertinent. Unfortunately, it's always pertinent, but it's also just like very well written and very clear and concise. And it's sort of like scholarship that is, it's like that's how you kind of want to write. Like you wish like you could write like that and be as kind of poetic in a way about like certain issues that you're writing about. So me, Angela Davis's Woman, Race, and Class, like this is like probably one of the just like dopest bits of criticism, like and like historical studies or whatever, like written and conducted is just like really dope. So I would say if you have any questions about like just the history of the treatment of not only just like Black people, but particularly Black women, like you got to read that. You got to read Angela Davis's Woman, Race, and Class. Like that's something that like, I think like it's just a great place to start. Not only because I think that's something that y'all should like be aware of and that you should know and learn from, but because it also sort of teaches you about like just kind of like general like in a sort of general sense, like sort of the construction of feminism in a sense, what that looks like for different sort of forms of different ideas of feminism, and how certain ideas of like feminism and certain constructions of feminism are harmful, particularly to Black women, right? And when I say that, that's obviously like I'm including like the fact that like there are certain forms of feminism, like say like a white sort of feminism, that is harmful just to people generally. But like the focus is on Black women because like, and I say that because like this book in particular focuses on the harm that this particular brand of sort of feminism does to Black women. And it's just very, very like you can't walk away from that book and be like, oh, well, Aunt Davis is lying about this and yada da da yada da. It's like no, like she's done like the work. And when I say she's done the work, like she did the thing. Okay, it's just like wow. Like you read that and you're like, yo, like every step of the way, like when you see like certain, like when you see certain movements, right? So you see like certain like movements under the guise of white feminism, led by white women, right? You see just consistent, just like either throwing black people under the bus, particularly black women, or you know, just like saying, hey, you know, we gonna do our thing, right? And or right, and we're gonna use you to sort of prop ourselves up and whatever, and we're gonna use you, right, black women, to sort of make us look better as white women, as people that you know are for equality and all of those things, right, on the surface, but underneath there's a lot of like just deep like embedded like racism, prejudice, and all that, like right, and all that sort of stuff, bigotry, all that sort of stuff within those white feminist movements. So it's really, really dope. It's just like it tracks it extremely well. And it's not just like Davis is just saying, hey, this is bad. It's like, no, it's like Davis is like a scholar and a revolutionary that is putting in like work with this. And it's very, and I think this is a sort of seminal text, and it's such an important text because when you read like other bits of like criticism, that are focused on the same topics that Davis is focused on, like you can clearly see like her influence and this, right, not only in the rigor of the work, right? Whenever I read black feminist like criticism, intersectional feminist criticism, you can just see it's like there's always like this just rigor that's attached to it. It's always like, oh, I have to make sure that what I'm talking about is like one, like clearly like true, right? Two, documented in various forms, and three, just like irrefutable, like you know, in almost every way possible, right? Because you're always gonna have people that are just like, nah, that's not true. I read this whole thing, sounds like nonsense. But it's like you read something like that, no, you cannot walk away from that and be like, oh well, no, this is just nonsense. This history is nonsense. No, all right. Same thing with other like bits of criticism. But I would say definitely check that out. If you think, oh, you know, black women are you know, historically have been generally okay, more recently, da da da, and da 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 da, like, no, like you're wrong. You're just wrong. I'm sorry, you're wrong. You are. You're wrong. Okay, so definitely check out Angela Davis's woman, race, race and class, like dope text. Really, really informative. And for me, I wouldn't say it was eye-opening in terms of like, you know, the sort of general fact and the general idea of like, or the general existence of like black women being treated like garbage, right? But it's like, it's just very informative. It's like, oh, like you know this and you've seen this, but it's like there's just like boom, 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 fact. All right. So, and it gets sometimes it gets pretty dark because like there is like a pretty like intense kind of like part chapter, whatever you want to call it, on like women and rape and sexual assault and all those different types of things. Again, check it out. So the next thing that I'm debating on whether I want to do like a live reaction to this or not. I bought this a while back and I want to read it. It's another manga volume. It's called "I'll Give It My All Tomorrow" by Shunju Aono, and it's pretty cool. It's like the sort of gist of it is like there's this guy and you know he's kind of disillusioned about certain things and stuff like that. And he sort of figures like, yeah, you know, I'll become a manga and like, you know, see how that works out. And it's just kind of like, you know, it's just sort of like ridiculous and kind of, and it's supposed to be like kind of funny and everything like that. And I can't remember, somebody suggested it because we were talking about Bakuman and like, you know, there are some things that Bakuman does extremely well, but then there's like a lot of like stuff that Bakuman kind of like pushes forward, and it's just really like progressive in a lot of ways. Like, you know, the whole thing with like Miho as a character and all that. It's just like, you know, just a lot of cringe stuff that I think, again, like Bakuman sort of presents, and you're like, really? Like, this is like come on, son. You know what I mean? A lot of like ridiculous like sort of ideas about women and the roles that they play in relationships and what they're supposed to do. and all of that. It's just like a lot of cringe worthy like stuff, and some stuff that's like also kind of like dangerous. It sort of tries to sort of romanticize the sort of like mangaka sort of like lifestyle, in terms of like, at least like from like working with like Weekly Shonen Jump and other like big sort of magazines that put out shonen like work. Just like some cringe stuff, right? And I think someone was like, "Oh, like I'd rather read I'll Give It My All Tomorrow." So I want to check it out. I'm not sure if I'm going to react to it or not. I think I'm going to read that one on my own and then let you know how I feel about it. I might do that. Just kind of have a stream talking about it. And if anybody has read it before, like let me know. But it's something that I'm definitely going to start reading sooner rather than later. And yeah, it looks good. It looks interesting. The art is like, the art is very like, at times you're like, oh, like this person definitely could draw. And then like times you're like, oh, like this is like kind of like amateurish, but I think it's on purpose, like that, like the sort of amateurish art that like sort of appears throughout it. And it's just me just flipping through it. So I'm definitely going to check that out. Again, sooner rather than later. I want to read it. I don't know if, I'll live react to it or not. I might react to like the first chapter and then see how I feel about it. And if I'm like, oh, this is like something that I want to react to, then I will. All right. So, again, we just kind of gone through the list. Like Battle Angel Alita, definitely check that out, please. Angela Davis's Woman Race Class, like definitely check that out. Oh, and also like when it comes to Battle Angel Alita, like when you're searching for it, like make sure like the deluxe edition is what you kind of want. And you also have to make sure that the name is just Battle Angel Alita, nothing else like after it or anything like that. Because all those other things, I guess, are sort of like addendums to the sort of original sort of story. So I wouldn't like, don't touch those. Just read Battle Angel Alita, start from the beginning, and then I guess like move on from there. Okay. So the next one is also kind of like a bit of criticism. This is something that I bought a little while ago, and I really want to check out. It's called Otaku, Japan's Database Animals by Hiroki Azuma. And Hiroki Azuma is like a pretty famous Japanese like scholar who's like written a lot about like philosophy, certain like philosophical like ideas and stuff like that. A lot of like postmodern like thought and all of that. In the vein of like Derrida and those folks, so really, really interesting stuff. I've only read like, a little bit of it. But like, for me, it's like cool. I want to check it out. I'm really interested in what it's sort of about. I'm just going to kind of read the back very quickly, just so you all have an idea of what, Hiroki Azuma is trying to sort of do. Okay. Hiroki Azuma's Otaku offers a critical, philosophical, and historical inquiry into the characteristics and consequences of this consumer subculture. For Azuma, one of Japan's leading public intellectuals, otaku culture mirrors the transformations of post-war Japanese society and the nature of human behavior in the postmodern era. Azuma argues that the consumption behavior of otaku is representative of the postmodern consumption of culture in general, which sacrifices the search for greater significance to almost animalistic instant gratification. A vital non-Western intervention in postmodern culture and theory, otaku was also an appealing and perceptive account of Japanese popular culture. So I'm really interested in like checking this stuff out. Like it looks really interesting, and I think the thing for me like is always like whenever I'm reading critical texts like these, like even when I'm reading like the Davis, the Woman Race Class, and like this otaku text, like like you should always be like in conversation with it. Right, that's kind of sort of the goal. You should never like take a text and just be like, well, that's all it is. I read it, like this is great, and then move on. It's like, no, like, are there things that you disagree with? Are there things that you feel like could be like expounded upon more like clearly or whatever? Other things that you feel like are just like, right, just flat out wrong, and you're like, no. All right, so when it comes to this text like this, I can already like tell like there are probably some things that I'm going to disagree with. Like there is a way in which like, I expect certain things. I'm not saying that those things are within the text. I'm just saying, just based on like all the reading that I've done when it comes to critical theory and all of that stuff, like there are always things that I disagree with. There are always like just basic sort of ideas that I just disagree with, that I'm like, no, you know, the ways like maybe something like you're studied, and I'm like, no. I think maybe you could have approached it in that way instead of this way. So there's always stuff like that. You know, it is what it is. Okay, next one. So this is a manga that I actually started reading. And I noticed that Dustin, I think, has actually read it. Dustin has read it because I saw it on his list of like manga that he's trying to read. This is pretty good. Black Cat Volume 1. This is an older manga. I think it came out like in the 90s or something like that. And Weekend Shonen Jump manga. Okay, shout out. All right, by Kentaro Yabuki. All right, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So far, it's pretty good. Actually, like I'm enjoying it so far. I haven't finished the first volume yet. I'm almost done with the first volume. Like I was reading it like, you know, through like on my bus ride home. And I was like, yo, this is pretty, no, the train ride home and then the bus ride home. And you know, and I just kind of like, and then I just read it pretty slowly. So like, that's why I'm not finished with the first volume. Normally, if I'm reading like on a train ride and a bus ride, like I'm finishing like the first volume easy. I might finish like, you know, a volume and a half or 2 volumes like on like a bus ride and a train ride because they're generally longer rides. Both of those rides generally last like 40 minutes or something like that. So this is pretty good. I like it so far. I like the premise of it. You know, it deals with like assassins, like this, you know, group, just sort of like that sort of like, you know, has like a lot of power within within the world of this particular manga. It's just really, really interesting. I like the character. I like what's sort of where it's going. I like the fact that there's a way in which, like, you know, the manga has sort of just like set up, you know, just okay, like things get real and we're not messing around at times. Like this is not like, oh well, you know, this person might not die and we'll see him later and blah blah blah, whatever. It's like no. Like if someone like is dead, like, you know, like someone like dies for whatever reason, like they die for whatever reason. Like it is what it is. People die in this manga. That's how it works. Okay. So I really, really like and you know, the humor sometimes is pretty interesting. You know, I wouldn't say it's like, whoa, this is amazing, but you know, it's cool. It is a shonen. It does what it does. It's not like terrible by any means. All right, it's good. It's a good, like, you know, it's a good, fun time. I think in a lot of different ways, and I'm enjoying it. And I got this for like $3. There's a store called Book Off, or there's a store called Book Off in in Manhattan because I live in New York City, so like it's very easy for me to procure like manga in general, unless it's like, you know, some like legendary manga like, you know, Osamu Tezuka's Phoenix or something like that. Like Phoenix, like you're gonna have a hard time like getting that. You're just gonna have a hard time like procuring Phoenix, all 12 volumes. Good luck to you. I haven't started yet. I don't got the money like that, so I haven't started that yet. But generally, Book Off is a great place. It has like all these manga. This I got Black Cat Volume 1 for $3. I actually have Volume 2. That I got in my like local, you know, just like the anime manga shop that I usually frequent. I got that over at there for like I think like $6 or something like that. And like the running price is generally like I think $8 or whatever. So you know, it's always cool to get like a little bit off. And then and that's Volume 2, but I couldn't start it because I was like, you know, Volume 2 is just one. It's difficult to get Black Cat volumes in general from the first like maybe 6 or something like that, or like not hard to get, but like, you know, it's a little bit more difficult to find them and like to buy them and all that. And they have those volumes. So but I couldn't find, they didn't have Volume 1. So I was like, man, I gotta find Volume 1. And then I tried to look for Volume 1 and it was a little difficult to like pick up and everything. And sometimes it was just a little bit too expensive. Then I walked into Book Off and I was like, yo, they got Black Cat Volume 1 and it's in really good condition. It's in really good condition. You know, so it doesn't matter to me like if the pages like, you know, on the outside are like dinged or whatever. That doesn't really bother me. You know, but so long as like the cover is really nice, the cover is in great condition, you know. So whoever had it really took good care of it, you know. So I got that. Dope manga. So far, so good. Once I'm done with Volume 1, I'm definitely gonna unwrap Volume 2, read that, go back to my anime shop, buy volumes probably 3 and 4 when I get the chance. Probably sometime in like late November or something like that. Not right now, but like late November, I'll probably go and pick it up and do that because like. For me, I only really buy like manga if I know I'm gonna read it fairly like recent. Like if like I buy manga like 1 month, I know within the next like 2 or 3 months I'm definitely going to read the volume and finish the volume or whatever. So I was kind of trying to make sure that like if I buy manga, like I'm gonna read it. It just kind of helps you like save that money it keeps you right, it keeps you focused on whatever it is that you bought, so that you're not thinking about buying another manga, even though you haven't finished like this manga that like is sitting in your on your shelf or on your desk or whatever for like ages. All right, so Black Hat, dope. Excuse me. Pretty sure I'm like a little sick. When you work with kids, you're always catching something. Your throat's always like an issue. But you work through it, like you figure it out. It is what it is. All right. What's good, John Boy? What's good, Richard the God? What's good, Key? What's up? What's up? Yeah, yeah. Animal Land I actually saw. I can't remember where I saw it. I think it was it was either in the Kinokuniya that I went to, or it was in Book Off. It's probably in Kinokuniya. I remember. I might pick it up. Someone mentioned Animal Land. A person that I follow on Twitter, this writer, she suggested it to me a while ago, I think. So what I might do if while I'm in the city tomorrow, I might pick it up. I'll see, depending on how much it costs. It probably costs like max $12 or something like that. So I'll see. I'll see if I'll pick it up. But I'll definitely remember. Like once I walk into the Kinokuniya, I'll like be like, right, Animal Land. Like both these people suggested it to me. I'm gonna pick it up. So I will. All right. The next book is a I'd call it I guess it's a novella. Yeah, it's a novella. It's called Binti by Nnedi Okorafor, and like this is a pretty like I haven't even started it. I haven't started it, but I really want to start it because this is something that my fiance read and she really loved, and she's really like invested in it, and like she loves like I think she's read other texts by Okorafor that she really likes, and she's generally read like a pretty good amount of like sci-fi. She's read way more sci-fi than I have, I think. So if she suggests something, I'm gonna check it out, right? Like she's a massive fan of like Octavia Butler and Nalo Hopkinson and like all those folks. So I'm definitely gonna check this one out. It's really dope. It's very much so like fantasy, sci-fi, space opera, stuff like that. I'm really invested in, and I like that stuff. I really like that stuff. I've probably read more comic-y stuff like that than like novels. But I do want to read more. I'm always trying to read more. I'm always trying to like read when I can, and without it getting in the way of like something I have to do. All right. So I'm definitely gonna check this out. Probably starting tomorrow. What I'm probably gonna do is take it with me. I'm probably gonna take it with me on my way into the city tomorrow, into Manhattan, and after work. And I'm probably gonna read it on my yeah. I'm probably gonna read it on my way to work. I gotta read some other stuff today, so that I don't have to read it tomorrow, and I'll read it on my way. I'll start reading it on my way to work, and I already know it's gonna be good because people have like said that it's just like this dope book. They really want to check it out. They like they really wanted to check it out, and when they did, they said they loved it. They adore it. So I really want to check it out. I think it's like a series, and this is like the first one. So I want to read more. Like I'm almost trying to read more. I'm always trying to like read new stuff, different things. Pulling from different places. I wish I had like a poetry book that I could grab that like I could show you that I really like, but I don't have one at the moment. Because I have to like get up, and I don't want to do that. But they're like, before I move on to the next book, I will say always look at poets.org, always check out poetryfoundation.org. Those are two just like really dope sites for just looking up poetry, finding a new poet that you really like. When I was teaching during the summer, I had my students do that. Like we just had a week, and it was just a week, and they were writing poems, and they were working on like a poetry portfolio, and I had them like just look on like poets.org, poetryfoundation.org, look up poems based on like certain topics, because usually when poems are written about certain things, they're not going to be like explicit or inappropriate or whatever. So you're trying to make sure to do that. But they found like a lot of them found poets that they really liked and that they really sort of like vibes with, and that's always like a great thing. Not all of them, like some of them, like a few of them, but it's always great when you can like sort of show kids and like teenagers and stuff like that poetry is dope, and like there's dope poetry out there, and that And it's like it's a lot of it's very subjective. So if they find something that they really like, humorous poems, poems about being sad, poems about um, family, whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever. Like they can find that, they can like it. It's dope. And it's good. So poets.org, poetryfoundation.org. Check that out. Next book. And this is two more, just two more. Let me get some more water after I'll mention this one. Then after the stream, I gotta get back to cleaning. Gotta make sure I clean. I gotta clean. All right. Next one is called Spirit Circle. I haven't started reading this either. I want to react to this. I want to react to Spirit Circle because I think it's probably gonna be very good. It's like, you know what I mean? Like when you pick up certain manga and you have the vibe that it's like, oh, this is probably gonna be good. Like I definitely want to check this out. I'll give it my all tomorrow is published by Viz. Okay. Spirit Circle is published by 7 Seas. 7 Seas just puts out dope content. Let me just say that. Like anytime I'm looking for like something to read and I'm like, you know what, I want a manga that I know I'm gonna like, generally I go to 7 Seas. Viz too, Viz, Kodansha, you know what I mean? Yen Press, like those like I guess that's to me would be kind of be like the big three, right? Like Kodansha, Viz, and Yen Press is probably like the big three for me. And also Shoujo Beat, right? Like those are probably like the big four. Shoujo Beat, Viz, Yen Press, Kodansha. Those are like the big four in terms of like manga publishing, like within the States and all of that. But 7 Seas is like a dope, like I guess kind of like indie press that just puts out really great stuff. That a lot of those others like might not be like focused on or are looking out for or whatever. And I'm always looking out for new indie sort of presses that are like really focused on putting out certain things, certain content. So Spirit Circle is kind of like I think it's like a reincarnation, like sort of narrative in the same way that Phoenix is a reincarnation sort of narrative. And so like they're connected in certain ways, but it's more so about like the volume itself and what's sort of being talked about within the volume and what the story is about. So I'm really invested in checking that out. It seems dope, seems interesting. I definitely want to read it. And I'm probably going to react to it. All right. This is again a Spirit Circle by Satoshi Mizukami. And it looks interesting. Like I heard about it. 7 Seas was really sort of talking about it, like talking it up. So I want to check it out. And that's it. All right. So last but not least, the last book. All right. I'm getting water after the stream. I'm pretty much almost done. All right. Let's see. I would never write a novel. I'm not a novelist. I'm not. That's my fiance. My fiance is the fiction writer. She writes like, she's written like a novel, a novella, and some short stories. And she's written good stuff. Like, she's written good stuff. And I am the poet. Like I mean, she's written poetry too. She's written all of it. Like she's written like pretty much every genre: flash fiction, short stories, novels, novellas, stuff like that. But I would say like I consider myself to be like a poet. That's who I am. That's like the genre that I've probably loved since I was in the 3rd grade. Like when the first thing I ever wrote was like a haiku, and I just liked the experience of writing that haiku. And I wasn't expecting that, but I still remember like writing about it. It was about like the weather, and I was just like, yo, like this is really cool. I like this. And I think I just really been kind of like writing, like I started, writing sporadically from then. And then when I hit like probably 21 or something like that, that's when I like sort of really started writing in earnest and like just kind of putting things down and trying to figure out this poetry thing. And then I would say when I got into writing spoken word, like when I started doing that, that's when it really was like, okay, like I really, really, really like consider myself to be a poet and like trying to put out things and all of that. I haven't tried to publish anything in like it's been years like since I've tried to publish anything. Like when I was at my school, like I was on like the editorial staff for the undergraduate sort of literary sort of like journal that we had like put out like for like creative writing, and it was really cool. It was really fun. Like it was great working with those folks, and you know we had our own different pieces, and like again like for me it was always poetry. Like I wasn't trying to put like fiction in there or anything like that. Like for me it was like always poetry, and you know, I've done like spoken word pieces and stuff like that before, and I've gone to places, you know, I've gone to like different venues, and that was like that was like, you know, good times. Like it's always good times to like go up, be in front of an audience, you know, rile up the crowd, do certain things like that, talk about real stuff, because like anytime you write a spoken word poem, it's always from a real place. Sometimes it's like, you know, it can be humorous, but it's always like from a very real like feeling, from a real like experience or whatever. You know what I mean? And for me, generally, my spoken word poems will always like be about like stuff that I've gone through, you know, just like as like a black guy, you know, family like issues, stuff like that. You know what I mean? I've always like written about that stuff, and it's good, you know. And you know, recently I put like a poem on Twitter, you know, that was like again like it was another like poem that was like about like family stuff and about like my experience, you know, learning about like empathy and all those types of things. So I've always been like a poet, I think, and that's what I consider myself to be. And I don't enjoy writing. I don't enjoy writing fiction narratives in a way. I enjoy teaching that stuff, and that's fun. Like teaching like fiction, teaching short story writing, teaching flash fiction writing, teaching poetry, teaching all that stuff. That's fun. I love doing that because it's not about you really. It's about like guiding the students that you're teaching and seeing what they gravitate towards. Like some students really gravitate towards the short story. Some students really gravitate towards like the chapter by chapter, like fiction, novella or novel or whatever. Some students really gravitate towards poetry. And some students are just, you know, really gravitate towards like multiple like sort of genres. Some students really, really gravitate towards like the sort of novel, novella chapter sort of thing, and poems. You know, and it's just like, you know, right? It's like you should never limit yourself in a way, but you know, but you should always try to sort of figure out like, do I like writing this stuff? Does it bring me like joy, pleasure, whatever, a certain like, you know, experience that you enjoy, you know? So yeah. The last book, this is a really important book, I think, because it's another one that's very much so in the vein of Davis. And so far it's like you don't enjoy the book so much as you're like, you know, because it's like, you know, this like you can't like it's just not it's not that it's not refutable so much as just like just laying out facts. All right, this is a book that came out a while ago. Excuse me. It's called The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. And there's like a, you know, and the forward is by Cornel West. You know, I think like, you know, Cornel West has like introduced like a lot of important ideas about like revolution and you know, post-colonial thought and capitalism and all these different sort of things, right? But and neo-colonialism and liberalism, right? Like, yeah. But I also think that like Cornel West is sort of like in a way become a public intellectual in like in a way that like can be like harmful, you know. And so for me, whenever I see something written by Cornel West, I'm always like, you know, I know I'm gonna have to wade through just a little bit, you know. I know I'm gonna agree with some stuff, and I know I'm gonna be like, bruh, you like, come on, what are you doing, man? You know, so I know that's always gonna be the case. But we talk about Michelle Alexander. This book is very great. It really sort of talks about like this very real, right? Very real. I was gonna say very real reality, but it's like no, this reality of mass incarceration within the United States in particular, and how like the United States, just like when you look like just globally, like the United States just has like these absurd rates of imprisonment, And it sort of leads us to like, right, and particularly the imprisonment of people of color, and just thinking about, you know, what's the solution to that? What do we do? How do we move away from the sort of prison complex, right? That the construction of the prison complex, and move towards like different you know, different ways of dealing with people that commit criminal acts. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of stuff that I think this book does really, really well. And it's just like great at documenting at different levels, like, you know, federal level, state levels, those types of things, right? This idea of like crime, of city levels, you know what I mean? Like this idea of like what how does this affect like people of color in particular, and in particular like Black people? How does it affect them? How does it sort of like reflect similar governmental government instituted regulations that are similar to, right, government? How does it reflect or allude to government regulations and legislation that reflects like racism, prejudice, slavery, those types of things? So it's very, very good so far. I really like it. But I'm also like, you know, I like it because like it's like, yo, like it's very clear, but I also am like, you know, just kind of saddened by it, because it's like, yo, like this is sort of like our kind of like, this is like our reality. Like these are things that happen. And again, for me, it's like, it's always important for me to just like keep reading, to keep looking up these things, to keep making sure that I'm like, you know, generally as informed as I can be, you know, within like sort of like the time that I have to like read certain things. You know, like I can't like say, okay, I'm going to spend like a whole day reading the new Jim Crow, and then like not focus on like, you know, class work and, you know, teaching and all that other stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like within reason, right? And, you know, I'm probably going to come back to this this weekend, I would say, just like, you know, I'm going to read a chapter. And I think that's generally how I, you know, read criticism. Like I read very slowly now. I can read fast, but I think like there are things that are just meant to be read slowly. And like criticism is always, to me, is always meant to be read slowly. Like that's something that you should always read slowly. You shouldn't be like speed reading through it or anything like that. Skimming is different, right? Because skimming to me isn't really speed reading. That's just like, you know, hey, here, you know, I'm trying to look and see if there's like something that I should focus on, and maybe I'll ignore this stuff for the time being and get back to it when I have the time, whatever. Right? That's different from sort of like speed reading. I read very slowly when it comes to like critical theory, because there's a lot to unpack. There's always a lot to unpack. So you got to make sure that like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing when it comes to that stuff, when it comes to that criticism, right? In order to understand what you're reading. Because a lot of people will like read something and they'll be like, oh, like this person said this, and it's like, that's not what that person said, like at all. I'm not sure where you saw that, but whatever. You know what I mean? And that happens all the time. Like you see that within like set institutions. You see that like within different programs, right? Whenever people like read like journal articles and stuff like that, they take what they want to take from it, they cherry pick, and then they'll start just like, you know, spouting like nonsense that doesn't reflect like the work that was put into the sort of like entire piece or whatever. You know, so read slowly. Take your time whenever it comes to really anything, I think. You know, but if you don't have the time, you know, break it down. So I always just say, hey, I'm gonna read a chapter, and that's what I'm gonna read. I'm not gonna try to read 3 chapters of like criticism. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna take a chapter, I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna think about it, and I'm gonna come back with like questions and realizations and different things. Let's see. You know, but like, yo, it's like, you know, read what you read. You know, if you want to read like if you want to read certain banned books, like read the banned books. You know, if you have access to them, read them. You know, check, like see what they're about, like see what's written, see, you know, because like again, like, you know, for me, like I can't, like there's a certain level of like criticism that I can't present without reading certain texts. Like I can't like critique what's a good example? I can't critique like Holy Land or Vinland Saga. I haven't read them. So I can't I can't critique them. I can't really talk about them. I can't be like, "Oh, Vinland Saga is whack." Can't say that. Right? I can't say that because I haven't read them. I don't really know what they're really about. You know? So, and it's kind of a similar thing with like banned books. Like there are certain things that are like if you haven't read them and you haven't read any criticism about them or anything like that, but you heard like, "Oh, this stuff is like awful." You know? You can kind of have an opinion and say like, "Yeah, this is probably not good. This probably like espouses certain harmful rhetoric." But you also got to like look through and check it out and study it and do all that stuff, right? You got to do that work. Otherwise, you will never be able to critique the work in the way that maybe you could if you actually read the thing. But again, this is not me saying like, oh, you should defend like, works that espouse harmful rhetoric and all that. No. Don't do that. But again, if you're going to, let's say, like write like, paper or something like that on like Mein Kampf, like you're gonna have a hard time writing a paper on Mein Kampf if you haven't read that at all, right? Like you're gonna have a hard time doing that, and it's not gonna be like a substantial paper by any means. It's not gonna be a substantial article by any means or whatever. Okay. So yeah, read when it comes to critical theory, read slowly, take it in. Okay. And that's what I do. I do that all the time, and it's very helpful because, like, when I started reading like critical theory, I read it too fast. I skimmed it. I wouldn't even say like I skimmed it. I skimmed too often, and I didn't like, and I speed read, and I used to do speed reading like too often when it came to that stuff. And then like, I was cherry picking. I was pulling things out that I wanted to pull out, but I wasn't really aware of how it related to like the entirety of the text that it was, cherry picked from. So gotta change the reading habits. Let's see. Yeah, like Kingdom. I have no idea when I'm gonna get back to Kingdom. I don't know. Again, like I'll let y'all know. It ain't gonna be anytime soon. But again, like again, there's always other manga to read. There's always other stuff to check out. That's really important to know. That's how I feel about that. So it's very easy for me to be like, oh, I'm not gonna read that manga. That and with that only has like illegal scans because like there's other manga for me to read. There's other books for me to read. There are also other things that will take up my time and attention. And that's why like I don't really like miss Kingdom like that. I miss the experience of live reacting to Kingdom. That's different, right? That's like I miss like talking to y'all about it and reacting to it and being hype and all that stuff. But like just reading Kingdom, like and just kind of reading, like I'm like, I'll get back to it someday. I will. And I believe that like Kingdom will at some point be brought into the States. I believe that. I think that's something that I do believe. Like I believe Kingdom will be adapted like into English at some point. It'll happen. It's gonna take like a ton of work, obviously, but it will happen. I believe that. So, all right. Let me get out of here because again, that's basically everything that I'm just kind of like right now checking out. I'm going to read soon, and I've already started reading. Come back, if you have like books that you want to suggest, feel free to put them in the comment section below. I'm always up for taking like suggestions for books. And I think more recently I've been trying to make sure that like I get back into like reading, more frequently, like other like stuff other than like other books, right? Like books other than like manga, comics, stuff like that. Even though those things are awesome and they're dope, but I'm always trying to like get into like other like sort of texts and stuff like that because that's important. That's important. All right. So thank y'all for coming through. So good stream. Just me kind of shooting the breeze, talking about the stuff that I'm reading, and I gotta get some water because like I need some water. All right. Again, thank y'all for coming through. I'm a Black Manga Critic. This is the first like what am I reading stream. All right, the first of many. I'm gonna probably do this like once a month. I gotta make like a list of like streams and stuff that I'm gonna be doing. And then when I do that, I'll probably like post it on my channel so people can like see that. And I'll probably pin a new video because the video that I have pinned now is like a pretty old video. So I'll post a different one. I'll make a list, and that way y'all will know like what I'm definitely gonna be reacting to, what I'm not gonna be reacting to at any given time. All right. So thank y'all for coming through to the stream. Okay. I gotta pay my phone bill. All right. And keep reading. All right. If you got suggestions, suggest them in the comment section. You can even put it into the live chat right now if you want to do that. And I'll see it because like it'll replay or whatever. But feel free. But I'll say the comment section is probably a better place for that, just so like I can see it and I know it's not gonna like cut off or anything like that. All right. But I'm a Black Manga Critic. Thank y'all for coming through, and I'm out ya.